Theories of happiness. Happiness has long been a central theme in philosophy, attracting rich and diverse theories that span ethics, metaphysics, and psychology. Philosophers throughout history have sought to define what happiness truly means, how it is attained, and what role it plays in human flourishing. This exploration delves into key philosophical theories of happiness, highlighting influential thinkers and their ideas, tracing the philosophical roots of these concepts, examining critiques, and considering their relevance in everyday life. Eudaimonia, the Aristotelian vision of flourishing. Aristotle's concept of happiness, or eudaimonia, remains foundational in philosophical discourse. Rather than equating happiness with fleeting pleasures or momentary satisfaction, Aristotle views eudaimonia as a deep, enduring state of flourishing achieved through virtuous living and rational activity. In Nicomachean Ethics, he famously declares that happiness is the highest good, the ultimate end toward which all human actions are directed. This conception moves beyond superficial pleasures to emphasize a life lived in accordance with virtues, such as courage, temperance, and wisdom. The individual who cultivates these virtues throughout a lifetime attains true happiness. This model encourages a focus on ethical alignment and long-term fulfillment rather than immediate gratification. However, Aristotle's emphasis on intellectual virtues has drawn criticism for underrepresenting the emotional and social aspects of happiness. Contemporary philosopher Martha Nussbaum, for instance, argues that Aristotle's framework can overlook external conditions, such as poverty or injustice, which deeply influence one's capacity to flourish. Hedonism and utilitarianism, happiness as pleasure and the greatest good. Another major tradition in the philosophy of happiness is hedonism, famously articulated by Epicurus, who defined happiness as the absence of pain, aponia, and the presence of tranquility, ataraxia. Epicurus championed the pursuit of simple pleasures and the avoidance of excess, advocating for a life of moderation, wisdom, and justice. He believed that enjoying modest meals and cultivating genuine friendships were essential paths to happiness. Nonetheless, critics contend that Epicureanism can be overly restrictive, dismissing the value of passionate ambitions or intense experiences. Building on hedonistic foundations, utilitarianism, developed by Jeremy Bentham and John Stuart Mill, extends happiness into a social and ethical framework that seeks to maximize happiness for the greatest number. Mill refined this theory by distinguishing between higher pleasures, those of the intellect and moral sentiment, and lower, more bodily pleasures, famously claiming it is better to be a human dissatisfied than a pig satisfied. For instance, choosing a career in healthcare can bring personal fulfillment while benefiting society at large. Despite its appeal, utilitarianism faces criticism for potentially sacrificing individual rights in the name of aggregate happiness, raising concerns about justice and minority protections. Existentialist perspectives, freedom and meaning in the pursuit of happiness. Existentialist thinkers such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus challenge universal definitions of happiness by emphasizing subjective freedom and personal responsibility in creating meaning. Sartre posits that happiness is not a given state but emerges from authentic choices aligned with one's deeply held values, famously stating that man is nothing else but what he makes of himself. Camus, confronting the absurdity of existence, finds happiness in embracing life fully despite its lack of inherent purpose, symbolized by his portrayal of Sisyphus who finds joy in the very act of struggle. This perspective encourages individuals to seek joy in everyday experiences, art, relationships, or simple moments, even amid existential uncertainty. However, critics argue that existentialism's emphasis on individual meaning can feel isolating or nihilistic, lacking guidance for those grappling with structural hardships or collective crises. Stoicism, inner peace through acceptance and reason. Stoicism, championed by figures like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, offers a distinctive approach by locating happiness within acceptance of what lies beyond our control and living in harmony with nature and reason. Marcus Aurelius reflected that very little is needed to make a happy life, it is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Stoics promote resilience and self-discipline, advocating for an attitude of amor fati, or love of fate, which encourages embracing even adversity as an opportunity for growth. For example, a Stoic confronted with job loss may find peace by focusing on personal development rather than external misfortune. This philosophy remains highly relevant today, providing tools to foster emotional resilience and maintain equanimity amid life's challenges. Yet, Stoicism has been criticized for encouraging emotional detachment and potentially resigning individuals to unjust social conditions rather than inspiring collective action. Contemporary positive psychology, bridging ancient wisdom and modern science. In recent decades, the field of positive psychology, inspired in part by ancient philosophical ideas, has focused on the scientific study of happiness and well-being. Psychologist Martin Seligman's PERMA model, positive emotions, engagement, relationships, meaning, and achievement, captures a multifaceted view of happiness that integrates emotional, social, and purposeful dimensions. Practical interventions, such as gratitude journaling or fostering social connections, reflect this approach's applicability to everyday life. Positive psychology demonstrates how enduring philosophical concepts like Aristotle's eudaimonia can be translated into modern psychological practice, supporting sustainable well-being. However, this field is not without criticism. Detractors argue that it sometimes oversimplifies happiness and neglects systemic societal barriers like inequality and discrimination that profoundly affect individual well-being. Philosophical roots and enduring debates. The philosophical roots of happiness span ethics, metaphysics, and theories of human nature. Ethics connects happiness with moral living, as seen in Aristotle's virtue ethics and Kant's deontological framework. Metaphysical inquiries, especially in existentialism and Buddhist philosophy, probe the nature of suffering and existence as central to understanding happiness. Assumptions about human nature also vary widely, from Hobbes' view of humans as self-interested to Aristotle's more social and virtuous characterization. Several debates continue to shape philosophical discussions on happiness. The tension between subjectivity and universality raises questions about whether happiness can be defined or measured objectively. Feminist critiques, like those of Carol Gilligan, argue that many traditional theories overemphasize rationality, overlooking the emotional and relational facets essential to human well-being. Moreover, Amartya Sen's capability approach highlights the significant impact of external conditions, such as poverty and discrimination, calling for a more inclusive understanding of what it means to be able to pursue happiness. Relevance to everyday life, ethical, emotional, and social dimensions. Theories of happiness offer valuable insights that can guide daily living. Aristotle's and Stoicism's emphasis on virtue and self-discipline provides a framework for ethical decision-making and personal growth, fostering both individual and communal flourishing. Stoicism and positive psychology, in particular, equip individuals with strategies to cultivate emotional resilience and reframe adversity in constructive ways. Meanwhile, Mill's recognition of relationships as higher pleasures underscores the importance of nurturing meaningful social connections. Taken together, these philosophies encourage a balanced, thoughtful approach to happiness, one that honors both individual agency and the social contexts that shape our lives. Conclusion? Happiness, as a philosophical concept, remains as rich and multifaceted today as it was in antiquity. From Aristotle's vision of eudaimonia as flourishing through virtue, to existentialist emphasis on personal freedom and meaning, and Stoic focus on inner peace and acceptance, these enduring theories illuminate diverse paths toward a fulfilling life. While criticisms highlight the complexities and limitations of each approach, collectively they deepen our understanding of happiness as both a personal and social endeavor. Engaging with these ideas allows us to navigate the challenges of modern life with greater clarity, purpose, and resilience. If you found this exploration insightful, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on future content that dives deep into philosophy and the human experience.